Hello, everybody. Jake, your resident content cowboy here. Yee to the ha. I am joined by the one and only Slash from Luminosity. We were just on his channel putting together a tier list that he does every year where he ranks every player in the game, which is amazing. You have to go watch it. And on my channel, we're going to rank the regions, and then we're going to talk about what the group stage looks like and how that is going to look moving forward from day one into day two. Worlds is coming very soon, so it's one of the most hyped times for Pokemon Unite. Slash, I'm so happy to have you here with me, dude.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm Slash, the two-time world champion, four-time IC winner. Yeah, I'm excited to get right into this.
Let's do it. So we have our tiers right here: S plus, S, A, B tier. Still got the B tier. C and F. And we have all of our regions that are going to be competing at Worlds. So we're going to go back and forth talking about this. I, of course, am going to defer to the champ, but I'll give my thoughts on them as well. Let's start at the top of our tier list here, Slash. What region do you want to start with going into our S plus tier?
Yeah, I'm just gonna start with what I think is the number one region in the world, and that is gonna be Japan.
Yeah, I'm with you. I also have Japan as my number one region. I don't know if they necessarily have the number one team in the world, but they feel like the strongest region across the board, the most competitive.
Yeah, and I'm gonna rank what I think is the best player in every region, and I actually have Vitopo here as the best player in Japan. I think if you go to my player tier list, you'll see I rated Satake as the best player in the whole world. But I think Vitopo, achievements wise, throughout the last few years, has shown that he's the best player. If you're going by accolades.
And you also have an honorable mention for each region, right?
Yeah, an honorable mention is someone who I think is really good that maybe didn't qualify for Worlds, but they also could have qualified. And my honorable mention for Japan is Tunjiji.
Yeah, ton, of course, right? I mean, what a wild season it was for Japan. The world champs not making it even two worlds is kind of crazy, but they had some an upsetting moment at ACL. They had a player that couldn't compete. The team seemed to fall apart, but the region still feels incredibly strong. I don't know if it is the world champion region, but they have so many good teams that I think will make it through to day two that I also had to put Japan super high on this tier list. I'm curious, we decided to put two teams, I think, in each one of our tiers. What team do you have sitting with Japan in S plus?
Yeah, so I actually combined the APAC regions, and I have APAC sitting at the S plus tier.
Now, for me, and I think it all depends on how you want to like figure this out. I do have North America as the other team sitting in S plus, not only because of Luminosity, your team, which I think is the strongest team looking to compete for that title. You would be winning it for a third time. But I also think some of the other teams qualified out of North America are quite strong, and they have the most spots there at Worlds. But let's talk about APAC right now, because that's where we are here in our S plus tier. Who do you have as the best player in their region?
Yeah, so I have Shindy as the best player in APAC. I think this guy is by far the standout. He is amazing. And for my honorable mention, I have JR Absent that made second place with Omo Abyssinian in 2023 Worlds.
Oh yeah, what a squad! That was such a fun team too. APAC has been amazing since the inception of the game, right? They have always been one of the regions in the hunt for the world championship. So I'm not surprised to see them so high here on the tier list. Moving on to the S tier. If it were me, I would have NA, but I'm curious what you have.
Yeah, so I have NA now as the third best region in the world. You had it as the second best. I'm actually curious what your third best region was.
My third best region was APAC.
Okay,
So it's kind
yeah,
of
so
just
just a
flip
little flip
flopped, which
flop.
I think
Yeah.
is an insanely good region, of course. I do think North America and Japan have the best possibility of winning worlds, which is why I had them higher.
Yeah, that's fair. And as the best player in NA, going by achievements and recognition, you just have to probably put Overlord there. And my honorable mention is Elo, who won Worlds twice with us and is now retired.
Yeah, I think that's great. Moving on to the fourth best region. This is, I think, where it's going to get a little interesting because I definitely wanted to make sure my list was a little different from yours. And I also wanted to give some shine to some regions that I underrated. I'm putting fourth best, and this might be too high at this point, as Korea. And I know you have not
Wow.
put Korea that high, but I severely underestimated Korea last year. But I want to know where you rank the S tier pick.
Yeah, so I have Latam as a combined region again. I think like Tempo, Anemo on Fusion have shown that they're probably the best Western team besides Luminosity. They've gotten second place at multiple internationals now. They won AOS Cup last year. And on that topic, I have my best player as Tempo in the Latam
Mhm.
region.
Yeah, obviously they're an insanely good team from Peru is incredible. They're not having as stellar of a season as they did last year, this year, but I'm really excited to see what they do at Worlds and combining the two there. They have so many strong teams across the board. Who's your honorable mention?
My honorable mention is Enisus. It's his first Worlds. He's a really fun player to watch.
All right, let's move down to our A tier. What team do you have first in the A tier?
So I have Korea as the next best team. Yeah. So what was your fifth best team?
LATAM is what I have
Yeah.
after that. And it's only because I underrated Korea last year, so I wanted to give them some love. And this year I thought LATAM looked a little weaker than they did in the previous year, but I'm not surprised to see Korea here. I think they have been severely underrated by the community. Second place at Worlds, they looked pretty fantastic. They're also just such a strong community of gamers in general. Like they play games at a very high level in Korea. So I think you can never count them out.
Yeah, honestly, I might have Korea higher if we saw that Zora Tigers gaming roster qualify again. That got second place last year, but unfortunately they didn't make it. And I guess that just shows how fierce Korea is and why it's this high up. Now, the best player I have is Komi. I think he's making his debut at the Worlds for the first time, but according to a lot of Asia players I've talked to, he's the best Korean player to ever touch this game. So I'm excited to see what it'll do.
Yeah, they're one of those teams that I feel like people would be they'd be making a mistake not to prep more for a team like that, especially with how well Korea did last year. And who's your honorable mention?
My honorable mention is Jay John from the Zora Tigers gaming squad.
Yeah. It's weird not having Zora Tigers here with how well they did last year, but that's I mean how high a level the competition is around the world and just how tough it can be to win consistently in Unite. What is your next region? I'm curious
Yeah,
how close we are here.
so my next region is India.
Me
Oh
too.
wow, yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, so I feel like India has just not been able to give that representation that they needed to because of visa issues and other stuff. So I'm really excited to see how they do at Worlds. They've had good placements before. They got second place at ACL. And my best player from India is going to be Snowy.
Yeah, India is a really cool region. I feel like we've not gotten to see their full potential, obviously due to visa issues and stuff like that. They didn't look fantastic at ACL, unfortunately. They had kind of a rough run there, but I'm always rooting for them as a region. I would love to see them do well at Worlds.
Yeah, for sure. What do you have as your next region?
My next region, I have EU.
Oh wow, yeah. I actually have you rated a lot lower, but we'll get into that. I have Brazil as my next region.
So for me, they're flip flopped right here. I think EU has the best team out of Brazil and EU, their regions. Like I think Nouns is the strongest team out of these two regions combined if you threw them all together. So I gave the nod to EU for that region. For that reason.
Yeah,
That
that
region.
yeah, that makes sense. I personally think that Brazil has the best player out of the two regions, and my best Brazil player is gonna be do games. I think he has like a three in his name, so I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Very elite.
Yeah, and then my
He has the
honorable
three in
mention
there.
for Brazil is obviously gonna be Baby Mazo. I'm a big
Of
Mazo fan.
course. I'm such a huge Mazo fan. I couldn't believe we will not have Mazo competing at Worlds. I hope something changes there. But man, I love Mazo too, and he's legit a great player.
Yeah, yeah. And then delving into you, that is my next place team. So again, a bit of a flip flop here, and I just have Toon Slim as my best player in the U. I feel like most people would have that opinion though.
Yeah, I think Toon's extremely good. I think there are a lot of great players on Nouns. It's weird because at times Nouns looks unbeatable, and then at other times it feels like Nouns beats themselves in some of these tournaments, especially the in-person events. I hope they show up mentally good to go at Worlds because they had a great run last year, and I think they could have a great run this year too.
Yeah. And my honorable mention for you is probably going to be the best player that's not at Worlds, which is Nachos. He almost beat us at UIC. Unfortunately, he is banned now, so he wasn't able to play.
Yeah, moving on to our C tier. We have either OC or China. I mean, I think you could go either way with this. China does not play our version of the game, so it's hard to rate them too high. They showed up at ACL, and it was very clear that they were not playing our version of the game. And then you have OC, which is such a small region. I think it's really hard to have the same level of competitiveness that you have with some of these other regions. I, I noticed you put them in F. You created a tier that, according to the list, doesn't need to be there, but you did put them in the F tier. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, I mean, I just think, unfortunately for OC this year, I don't think this was the strongest OC team. There seems to be a lot of drama there, that has also contributed to their worsening international performances. The best player I have from OC here is actually Sky, and I actually heard he was from Brazil originally and moved more recently to OC. And my honorable mention is going to be Joe, because I think Joe is known as like the best player in OC. He's had been to multiple internationals, has the most accolades.
Yeah, and then of course we have China, which is just such a tricky region. This is like the first international season where they're trying to bring them into the game. We obviously have our global version. They have the China version, which has a different version of ranked. So they are all day playing a different game to qualify for a championship than what they will play at the World Championships, which is just going to be very tough for them if they're able to make it. I think they're going to have a tough go for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, that concludes our tier list. Do you agree with these two in F tier, or do you think I should move them up?
I think they're going to have the hardest time. I mean, there's no question about it. I would love, like, as a caster, one of my absolute favorite things is, seeing some of the stories that start to develop and following them through the tournament. So, as a caster, you would love to see an underdog region like OC or kind of this wild card like China move through the tournament and start doing really well because it's just so interesting, unexpected, and exciting. I do think they're both, unfortunately, not going to be day two regions. It seems pretty unlikely.
Yeah, yeah. And we actually do have casters we can rank here. I actually think that you guys could beat a China team if you guys formed a team.
Come on, man. I think we could definitely beat China. You know what? I think we could take down EU as well. But no, seriously, it's always fun getting to play with the casters. And while we don't play the game at the level of any of these professional teams, it would be very fun to put us in against a team that doesn't play the game consistently also and see what something like that would look like. I love playing with my casters. It's so fun getting to just hang out around a tournament and vibe and play. I've got to do that with you guys at LG sometimes too. We'll just all be hanging out and queuing up. I played a game with you. No, was it you and Toon? And Toon absolutely threw at Ray, so that was pretty fun in Brazil. Moments like that are always a great time. But there you have it, everybody. We have our regions tiered out here by Slash and myself. We're actually pretty close on where we think our regions are heading into Worlds. We're now going to take a look at our group stage and we're going to talk about what two teams we feel like are going to move out of every single group here in just 1 second.
All right.
All right, Slash, here we are taking a look at our group stage for the World Championships. Every group here has two teams that are going to move forward. One team in sort of that first seed spot, one team in that second seed spot. We're going to start with Group A. We're going to go through this whole thing. And we're going to talk about what teams we think are making it through, what teams are heading home a little early. Group A, we have Splash from OC, the Juicers from NA, Stamina from LATAM North, and Gen 5 from EU. For me, when I look at this group, I feel like Juicers, Stamina, and Gen 5 all have a decent shot moving forward. I do feel like Splash, unfortunately, is probably going to flame out in our groups here. Three pretty strong teams. If I had to say one and two, I think it's probably Juicer's Stamina one, Juicer's one, Stamina two, heading out of Group A. How do you see it?
Yeah, I mean honestly for OC and Splash, this is one of the better groups I think. Like at least there's no Asia teams here, which I think are like the really really strong competition. So it's one of the better group opportunities to make it out of groups. I'd say there's like maybe like a 15% chance actually that Splash could make day 2 with this group. So it's not bad honestly. Obviously all these teams are strong. My initial impressions looking at it is Orange Juicers are the strongest team by far. So I think they'll definitely make it out of groups. And then I think it's kind of wishy washy whether Stamina Esports or Gen 5 make it out as the second seed.
Yeah, it makes total sense. It's hard to say. There are times Gen 5 has shown up and looked absolutely unbelievable, but Stamina has also been a great team. So I do think that second spot in groups is going to be hotly contested. Moving
Yeah.
on to Group B here. Did you have anything else you wanted to say about Group
Oh
A?
yeah, I was gonna say like, but I'll try to lock in like a second seed for sure
Okay.
here in the group. But what team would you say if you had to predict would make it?
I think it's going to be Stamina. If I had to predict one, I would say Stamina. I think Gen 5 is very close. Like, as you gave percentages, I think the chances of Juicers making it out is probably closer to 90%. And then between Stamina Esports and Gen 5, like, they're closer to 40% each for those squads.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that honestly. I think I'll put STMN.
All right, moving on to Group B, we have Peru Unite Team EX out of Korea, Peru Unite from LATAM South. We have Revelation from North America, and we have Onyx from APAC West. This is an interesting group. I think everyone would probably agree that Peru is going to walk out of this group with the number one spot. That's also what I would put as the number one group. And I'm excited to see Korea, so my heart's going to go with Korea walking out at number two.
Yeah, I mean, my initial impressions when looking at this group is Peru looks like the standout. But actually, when I think about it more, I think there's actually a decent chance that they don't walk away first seed. I think this Korea team, is like the really strong Korea team, the first seed, and they could actually put up a fight and end up taking the first seed. But to me, those two teams are the strongest. Like I think, Revelation and Onyx have like a chance to beat these teams, but these two teams are definitely very very solid.
Yeah, that's what it feels like to me too. I don't think any of these groups are absolutely, like dominant for the most part. There are a few where I can't see another reality happening. But Group B, you could see some interesting shakeups. Revelation had an amazing NAIC run. We'll see if they can, make something happen at Worlds here. Moving on to Group C, we have Cake Kalak, we have Talon, we have Komai Esport, and Last Dance. This is a very interesting group. I'm not sure if Last Dance is actually making it to Worlds. Um, that one I feel like I've heard is kind of up in the air. To me, it feels like the strongest out of this is Cake Galak.
Yeah, honestly, my initial impressions are Cake Luck. Obviously, if you've just watched last year's Worlds, a lot of people would say Talon, but I think Talon looked really weak internationally this year. So I think Cake Luck is actually the stronger seed for the first seed.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's likely Kakalak Talon moving out of this. Komai has just been, they've been a cool team out of EU, but I feel like extremely inconsistent and extremely inconsistent roster wise, right? Like, it depends on which Komai would be showing up there. This one could have a good shot, but I do think it's probably going to be Kakalak 1 and Talon 2.
Yeah, for me, I actually this is gonna be the first upset I put as a
All
prediction.
right.
I think Komai is gonna be the second seed out of this group.
That would be exciting. I would love to see it. That would be very cool. Some more EU representation. As we move to Group D here, Slash, with some of the best representation out of EU, we have Nouns Esports, we have Paper Rex, Version 1, and Nova out of China. Unfortunately for the China teams, I just think they're playing a different game. So it's really hard for them to have a great showing at Worlds. I don't think they're going to be moving on from groups. Version 1 is also going to have a tough time moving through Group D. Two incredibly strong teams. Nouns to me feels like the one seed out of here, and Paper Rex being two, but I could see that being flip flopped.
Yeah, I personally am gonna say Paper Rex is gonna be the one seed, and it won't even be close. Actually, I think
Ooh.
yeah. But I definitely see these two teams making it out of the groups. I will say I think V1 has like maybe a 30% chance to
Mhm.
make it out of this group. So it's not too bad.
Yeah, I think version one has a shot. Unfortunately for China, again, they just don't play our game. So they're going to have a really tough time, even if they were hard grinding it. But you could see a team from China maybe upsetting something that's happening. As we take a look at Group E here, we have S8UL out of India, Santos Laguna from LATAM North, QT Dig out of Japan, and You Need Coaching from North America. This group is extremely volatile, in my opinion. You could see fully upset like QT Dig, third out of Japan, You Need Coaching, third out of NA. They could take this group. You also could see an amazing showing out of India here. I don't know where this is going to all shake out. And then you have Santos Laguna out of LATAM North. Like this is a wild group slash.
Yeah, this is honestly the only group I'm completely unsure of who's gonna make it out. Like these are all teams that you haven't really seen internationally at all in the past year, and like they're all very strong coming out of their regions. So it's gonna be really interesting. I feel like I'm just putting a shot out in the dark, honestly, when I'm trying to figure out the seeds in this group.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. Just because I want to see it, I'm gonna put S8UL as our second seed, and I'm gonna give it to Unk. Unk's going out number one, baby. Let's do it.
All right. I actually agree with you on S8UL being the second seed. I have faith they'll kind of pull out an upset here, and then I'm actually gonna put Santos Laguna as the first seed.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, really strong group, and I think QT Dig could have a great run. Like this group is really wild. I don't know how things are going to shake out. As we move over here to Group F, we have NA Luminosity. Never heard of them. Reject out of Japan, Champion Road from China, and Infamous Gaming from LATAM South. This feels like the most clear cut. Two teams walking out of the group to me, possibly, and that would be Luminosity and Reject. Number one seed in Japan, Luminosity, like the best team at every international event. This doesn't feel like a very close 1 and 2. I guess there could be some crazy tilt that happens when Reject and Luminosity face off. The loser of that could maybe spiral, but outside of that, I feel like it's pretty clear who's walking out of Group
Yeah,
F.
unless this China team, Champion Road, just turns out to be the best team in the world.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess there's always that. Like if obviously if like let's say Reject loses to you guys and Champion Road somehow takes games off them, you could see just this crazy situation, or vice versa, right? If Luminosity, if you guys lose to Reject and then you lose to Champion Road somehow, you could see a wild situation here. I think it's probably Luminosity 1, Reject 2. That's
Yeah.
where I'd put my money. Moving to Group G, we have High Five, Insomnia, Hohen Plaga, and Krius Do Jake. Unfortunately, as we start to move down here, we have a couple Brazilian teams in Group G and Group H. I think Brazil has a tough road ahead of them to move out of these groups. Like, I think High Five and Insomnia have a good shot here. I think Hohen Plaga also has a decent shot here in Group G. Brazil probably with the toughest road out of Group G.
Yeah, if you had to pick a region that got the toughest groups, I would say it has to
Mm-hmm.
be Brazil. And you got number one and two in ACL, and then you got Onyx Rise, considered the second best team in the other group,
Yeah.
and Zeta Division, which everyone knows is one of the best teams. So I feel really bad for Brazil. I feel like this one is probably gonna be High Five as first,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe like INS as second. But I could honestly see an upset for Chris Jake to get the second seed. I don't really have faith in Hoenn, so I don't think we'll see much from them.
Yeah, this is a really tough one. I think it's likely High Five and Insomnia. This is Brazil's. I don't know. It might be their best chance right here, but Brazil, like you said, they have a really tough road. It's going to be hard for them to day two this tournament because they have so much strong competition in these groups. If I had to put my money on it, I'd go High Five 1, Insomnia 2. As we move on to Group H, we have Aegis Flames out of Brazil, Onyx Rise out of APAC, and Zeta Division. What a brutal group. This is so strong. All these teams are quite good, but I do think Brazil is going to have the toughest time here. I would put Zeta as 1 because I love Zeta, and Onyx as 2, even though Onyx is insanely good.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. And honestly, like The only team I could see Aegis Flames upsetting in this group is actually Onyx. I feel like Onyx is that team that has the potential to beat all the best teams, but also has the potential to lose to some worse teams.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you go. There is the group prediction between me and Slash here. Obviously, it's going to be colored with our bias for our regions and for Slash. I mean, probably colored by some of the teams that you've run into, maybe the teams that didn't show up well against you, or some of the teams that did show up very well against you. It's going to be exciting seeing what happens at Worlds. I'm possibly talking right now to a three-time world champion, which is pretty exciting. Slash. Before we leave, everybody, normally on our tier list we're talking about Pokemon and thing like that, Pokemon and things like that. What do you think? Like, if you could throw out a handful of Pokemon that are going to be extremely relevant at Worlds, what do you think they would be?
And what I want to hear from people is which group do you think is the group of death here?
Oh yeah, we should find out what people think the group of death. For me, it's probably Group H. Like Group H feels like the group of death. Like what a scary group. What's your group of death?
I honestly, it might be group G or E, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, they're super scary groups. So let us know in the comments your group of death and slash a few Pokemon that you think people need to be watching for.
I think you definitely want to watch out for Suicune, Latios, Ho-Oh. I see a lot of comments about Ho-Oh being banned a lot. I actually think that Latios will be banned more, and you'll actually see a
Mm-hmm.
lot of Ho-Oh. So pro players are kind of like, I think they'll leave Ho-Oh up a lot more than people think.
Interesting. Yeah, I was wondering how much of it we would see. I wonder if Galarian Rapidash gets to make kind of an exciting showing because we didn't get to see it at NAIC, right? It was banned for that tournament. And I don't think, no, we're not getting Latias in time, right? So we will possibly see Latios, but unless it gets some nerfs, I don't think it's going to see much play. I think a lot of teams are going to ban it out. It's just too strong, especially when it has like a nice wall around it. I'm curious to see what the bans are going to look like if people are going to be playing Alchemy. I don't want you to divulge too many secrets here, but thank you for joining me, Slash. Again, check out the video on Slash's channel where he breaks down every single top pro player in the game. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening. I love you. I'll see you all next time.
Bye.
We did it.